Welcome to the Sausage Bowl Podcast, the weekly podcast of the Sausage Bowl Fantasy Football League with your hosts, Danny and Cosmo.
Welcome to the Corey Bowl. Excuse me. My name is Akshay, and I'm going to rebrand everything here. So today it's the Corey Bowl. Here with my overpaid co-host, Cosmo.
Wait, did you say the Corey Bowl?
Gutty. The fresh gutty. The flavor.
Oh, great. I miss Danny.
Hey, I'm paying you now. I'm paying you. $5 an hour, so shut up and work.
Okay. Well,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, Danny? Just different places, guys.
I'm back, dude. Shut up, Akshay. You ain't did this. You fired. You fired already, Akshay. That's right.
Damn.
I still have 51% ownership. You fired.
Well, guys, it was a great podcast. Until next time.
That's right. I'm back. Oh! Welcome to season 2, episode 8. Oh! I'm so angry, dude. Oh! I'm just kidding. All right. That's right. We're back in this what week are we? Week 6 is over in the NFL. Week 7's coming up, man. Oh, we're pretty much halfway through the fantasy regular season, and it is not looking any better for me. But it doesn't matter. Cosmo's doing well, Akshay's doing well. They're both on the podcast. That's right. Welcome Akshay, welcome here. Welcome, Cosmo. Oh, sorry, wrong one. But yeah, all right. Well, it's good to have everybody back in here. Let's just jump right in as we always do.
It's time for the weekly news brought to you by Anchorman Cosmo.
Very, very light week this week in terms of news items in the NFL. Just some quick hits for the injuries here. James Conner suffered a quad injury in his last game.
Ow!
Yeah, ouch indeed. And he's not expected to miss much time, if at all. The Steelers have a bye this coming week, so James Conner should be good to go starting next week. Amari Cooper suffered a thigh bruise and is questionable for next week. Thankfully, there's no structural damage to the injury, so he should be good to go. But apparently, a thigh bruise is like one of the most painful things you can do. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see how he recovers from that. Danny, I know you've had plenty of thigh bruises over the course of your life. How painful is it?
It's almost as painful as listening to Akshay speak,
Ooh.
but it's still a little bit more.
But who is last in our league?
Anyway, Cosmo, what's the next news item you've got?
Thought so.
And finally, our last news item here. Pour one out for the homie. Will Dissly.
Ow!
Man has torn his Achilles tendon, which is not good. He will be out for the season. Not only that, but his career might be in jeopardy. That is a very brutal injury to have, one of the worst you can have. So hopefully, Will Dissly, you can come back from it and be stronger. And,
Dude, I feel bad. I feel bad for him. He had like that catastrophic knee injury last year. No one thought he was coming back anytime soon. Comes back this year, ends up being like a top 5 tight end for like 4 weeks in a row. And then just when Brandon thought he could trust him, he goes down.
Hey, he could pull a Saquon, man, and come back in like 6 weeks.
Don't think so. I really don't think so.
That would completely defy all medical.
Yeah, I mean, Emmanuel Sanders coming back from his in like 9 months was already like a medical miracle. So don't think he's coming back anytime soon. But if you want to pick him up from the waiver wire, he's there. Akshay, just in case you're holding out hope.
$25 on him.
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, thanks, Anchorman Cosmo. Your paycheck from Akshay is in the mail, so thanks for all the hard work you do, and keep it up, man. Akshay, keep paying him. Okay, moving on.
No. I got it.
Nope, you
Top
done.
5 players of the week.
Okay, moving right here into our quarterbacks of the top 5 players this week. We got none other than Matty Ice, number 1, 30.9 points on Brandon's bench, and kind of a bit of a regret for me. I had made some offers to trade for Matt Ryan before the week started. Brandon was a little tempted on some of them, but then we just kind of, got busy. Forgot if I had played him, I would have won. Crap. Number 2, Lamar Jackson, 30.6 points for Duncan, staying up in that top quarterback range there. Deshaun Watson, 29.4 for Nutsack Nahum. Actually, no, he's King Nahum now, or right now at least, up until our next King Sausage segment. Number 4, Russell Wilson, 28.9 points for Aaron. And number 5, Kyler Murray, 28.8 points for Cosmo. Who would have thought? The midget's getting it done. All right, Cosmo, how about those running backs this week?
Thank you, Danny. The top 5 running backs this week, starting up at number 1 is James Conner with 27.4 points for Brandon. Did a lot of damage before an injury took him out of the game, but didn't need a full 4 quarters to do his damage. So good on you, James Conner. Number 2, Nick Chubb with 26.4 points for Aaron. I guess we will see if he can keep this up with Kareem Hunt coming back relatively shortly, but I think he will, and he's been really good. Has definitely been one of the worst calls I've made this year, but good job, Nick Chubb, for making me wrong. Number 3, shut up. Number 3, Devontae Freeman has 25.3 points for Aaron. Has slowly bounced back after a terrible start to the season. Has actually started to look like a pretty solid fantasy option. So Devontae Freeman at number 3, doing a pretty nice job again for Aaron. Number 4, Akshay, do you want to say this one?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
David Johnson, 25.2 points at number 4 for Taylor. No comment. Number 5, Chris Carson, 23.9 points for Nutsack Nahum, being a very consistent option for Nahum throughout the season. Akshay, why don't you hit us up with those wide receivers?
All right. So number 1 on the list is Stephon Diggs with 40 points yet again for Taylor. Number 2, Terry McLaurin, Nutsack Nahum with 24 points. Number 3 is Tyreek Hill, 22.
Yeah, buddy!
Yeah.
He's back!
Anyways, number 4 is Curtis Samuels with 21.8 points on Taylor's bench. 5 is Robbie Anderson, 21 points for Danny's bench.
He's back, dude!
On the bench.
It don't matter, dude. He's back.
Did you win?
I was holding on to him. Everyone was like, I'm holding on to Robbie Anderson. Why on to Robbie? Oh, no, it's a boom! He's back. 21 points. Suck my dick. Just like you suck them tight ends. That's right. Moving into the tight ends this week, we got number 1, Hunter Henry, 26 points on Nahum's bench. Man, Nahum had a lot of people on the bench go off. And when actually he really didn't. It's just this guy. But really good tight end option for Nahum. Looks like he really needed to fill that, and he might have done that. We know Hunter Henry has given people goose games before and gets injured a lot, so we'll have to wait and see. But 26 points is pretty promising. Number 2, Austin Hooper, 21.7 points for Akshay. Number 3, George Kittle, 14.3 points for Taylor. Number 4, Ricky Seals-Jones, 12.2 points on the waiver wire, where he will probably stay. Number 5, Cameron Brate, 11.7 points. They can seem to get it working with him, but not O.J. Howard. Not really sure what's going on.
I'm pretty sure Cameron Brate has higher point totals this year than O.J. Howard, which is really sad.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, that is your top 5 players of the week. As we always say, if you want to win, get your players in the top 5. If you don't have them, go trade for them. And, you probably won't get them, but good luck. Where's this sound drop here?
All hail the King Sausage of the Week.
Well, this guy has done a complete 180 from the narrative surrounding him, and Taylor now has his second I'm so used to saying. I'm so used to saying this. I'm sorry, Taylor. Taylor has his second king sausage of the year already. Um, I'm thinking this is first in his career, or first two in his career, but they both come within this season, within the first 6 weeks. That's right. He's got himself two king sausages, scoring 141.7 points on the week. We'll get down into the breakdown of his team in the matchup review, but congratulations, Taylor. Congratulations. Well deserved. You know, and he's doing it without Saquon. Is that impressive, Cosmo?
Oh yeah, it's very impressive that he's doing it with Saquon, and I think it's extremely scary when he gets back when he has Saquon, Mark Ingram, freaking David Johnson. But
Can I
we don't
can I
have to get next time.
can I just say something, you guys, to everyone in the podcast? You're welcome.
I hope Taylor and Akshay meet in the playoffs, and Austin Hooper scores like 2 points, and
And David
Calvin
Johnson
Ridley
gets
scores like
injured in
two
the first
points,
quarter, and he gets
and
like
then
negative 5 points. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then David Johnson scores like 45, and then just wrecks Akshay. Kind of reminds me of something that happened in the past, but
I don't know what you're talking about.
but I digress. I digress. Okay, congratulations, Taylor. Well deserved, and happy to see you finally, having some fantasy success, because it starts to wear down on you, as I'm learning this year. But anyway, moving on.
Stanky sausage of the week.
This came in the exact same matchup that Taylor got his king sausage, so I thought it was only fitting if we hear from the man himself.
I'd like to humbly take my victory in strides, and I'm just real happy that I was. Kid. Ooh, this week was so sweet to me. I got Rocky losing, Duncan losing, but you know what? That's not the best part. Will you smell that? No, hold on. Oh, that is the stickiest, most nasty, slithering sausage that I could deliver to Cameron. You lost to me once, and then you decided, oh, that wasn't enough. I need to lose even worse this year. Boy, what's wrong with you? buddy, oh man, you thought you were having a good season, but you're still a clown. You're still trash, so just stay right there, and I hope you enjoy the sausage that I handed you.
Thank you, Taylor. Thanks,
Wow.
Taylor, for coming in there clutch with the stanky sausage message. Yeah, unfortunately for Cameron this week. Oh yeah, not too good, not too good. I think he might have been busy with some honeymoon stuff, but still got that. Oh, got that stanky sauce. Oh, it's looking nasty. 79.32 points. Man, when you get that 70-point range stanky sausage, oh, it's just really stanky. Like the 80s, it's kind of like okay, whatever. But 70s, oh, not good. And Cameron, Cosmo, and I would like to formally apologize. Last week, we brought up the fact that you had never gotten a stanky sausage before, and that we gave you some praise, some claps, bravo, and you got a stanky sausage this week. So good timing. We apologize for that. Cosmo, maybe we should use that as a weapon in the future.
Yeah, maybe we should. I mean, I've noticed that a lot of the things we say, they either come true or the exact opposite happens. So I'm not opposed to using the podcast as a tool, as a weapon to help ourselves. But yeah, Cameron, unfortunately, finally got the stinky sausage. Now we're only left with one person that hasn't gotten the stinky sausage, and that's Brandon. So Brandon,
Ooh,
I want to
Brandon,
out.
we're coming for you. I know the bye weeks are hitting you hard this week, Brandon. We're coming for you, Brandon. Oh, Brandon. Oh, dude, I already hear it. I already hear it. You never know. There might be another Taylor message for you next week, Brandon. Oh, buddy. Oh, get ready, Brandon.
Bench regrets.
All right, bench regrets this week. Take it away, Cosmo.
Yep, like always, some people here had some big regrets. They had a couple of do-overs that they probably wish they could redo, but unfortunately that is not the life of fantasy, and they will have to live with these mistakes, these regrets for the rest of their lives. And so let's go ahead and get down to what people regretted this week. First, we have Rahi, who put Royce Freeman on the bench, who scored 10 points. Not too bad, and there's really nothing he could have done to one, but hurts to leave some points off the board there. Duncan, probably not a move anyone would have recommended or done, but nonetheless, he did not start Miles Sanders, who actually had a really good game for once, and coincidentally, the week after I dropped him. But he scored 16.7 points for Duncan on the bench. Not good there, especially in the tough matchup that it came across. Cameron, again, did so poorly against Taylor that nothing really would have mattered, but he did leave Golden Tate off the bench with 19.2 points. And did anyone see that coming? Golden Tate scoring a massive touchdown from Danny Dimes against the Patriots? Because I didn't.
I did. It was my bold prediction last week.
Can we check the tapes?
No, we're keep going.
Okay. Speaking of my my fellow co-host, unfortunately, you had a regret here that maybe you wish you had a redo on. Robbie Anderson finally broke out and scored 21 points on the bench. Ouch, that hurts. But at least the positive thing you can take from this is that Robbie Anderson should be good moving forward now that he has Sam Darnold.
So, Danny,
Yeah.
I have to say something, man. How does it feel to be on the bench regrets, what, five times this season so far?
Go ahead, Cosmo.
That's okay. I'm trying to. I feel like there's a fight about to break out in this podcast right now, and so I'm gonna have to be the mediator today.
Look,
So,
there's places I could go. There's there's things I could say,
come on,
but
man,
I'm
I'm holding you back.
I'm not gonna say them, dude.
I got you.
I'm gonna keep it in.
Hey,
I'm gonna be the better man.
I can't hear you in the bottom of the list.
I'm gonna be the better man, and I'm just gonna turn the other cheek. You know, there's things I could say. Actually, don't worry, you got plenty of things I could say, but I'm holding them back. I'm holding. I'm holding it in. Okay, but yeah, no, I was actually pretty excited to see. This is what I expected from Robbie Anderson from day one when I drafted him, but then Sam Darnold decided to go kiss somehow and get mono and was not himself game one, and then was out like a whole month. And but now he comes back, competent quarterback. They're running their offense, and boom, Robbie Anderson, 21 points. Nice juicy schedule coming up. Very excited for that. So, bon appetit.
Bon appetit. Well, we have one last person who unfortunately had some bigger regrets than almost everyone else here. And honestly, Danny, I think this calls for a. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Oh. Akshay getting on this.
Yeah.
It's the nut. It's the nut. It's the
Okay. All right. Nutsack Nahum, yes, unfortunately had some massive regrets. Came into this matchup with Aaron, and it ended up being a very close battle with Aaron coming out on top by only 4.5 points. And when you look at some of these regrets, that point total makes it sting even more. Sitting on his bench, he had Tevin Coleman score 13.1 points. Compare that to someone, some of the other running backs, like Alvin Kamara, didn't look so hot. Had DJ Moore, who scored 12.1 points, sitting in his bench. And when you look at Amari Cooper scoring 0.8 points or Keenan Allen scoring 4.3, doesn't look so hot. But I think the most egregious one of all is Nahum, put the number one tight end of the week, Hunter Henry, who scored 26 points on his bench over Vance McDonald, who scored a whopping 1 point that 100% decided the matchup here. So sorry, Nahum. But you pulled out some of your nutsack Ignis this
You
week.
missed out on a king sausage and a win. Ouch.
Ouch.
Ow!
It's the nutsack now. I'm just kidding. I won't get back into that. All right, thanks, Cosmo, for hitting us with those bench regrets.
Uh-oh. You feel something rumbling in your tummy, but you're in public. You're going to take the risk, and you're going to let it go anyway. Is it going to come out a fart or a shart?
All right, fart and shart this week. Kind of cool to see this one here. So, you know what? We've had the friendship white pants going around, and Brandon and Duncan decided to pass them along and hand them to Nahum and myself this week. That's right. Nahum and I are going out to the store. We're in public with our white friendship pants on. Um, passed along very kindly, generously from Brandon and Duncan. And well, what do you know? Both of us just we had the urge to fart all of a sudden, and you know what? Nahum's came out smooth, and that's right. He played Terry McLaurin on the Redskins, rookie wide receiver for the Redskins, playing the Dolphins, which I know that's not a huge risk, but they had just switched to a new interim coach who is much more about the run, and he said it, all week long. He was going to run it up the gut with Adrian Peterson all game long. The Dolphins are susceptible to the run, but Nahum decided last minute to throw Terry McLaurin into his lineup, and it got him 24 points. Yeah, it was 2 touchdowns, 100 yards. Looked great out there. Looked really, really, really good out there. So, congrats, Nahum. There's no stain on your white friendship pants, and whoever you pass them on to next week, they can wear them knowing that they're clean. But on my side, you gotta have some cleaning to do. Whoever gets it, I'm not cleaning this dish, man. It's so nasty. The shart of the week here is none other than Gardner Minshew. Yeah, that's right. I don't know, absolutely no idea what I was thinking when I played him. I needed a quarterback this week. I didn't trust Aaron Rodgers as far as I could throw him, and I don't know. I just, for some reason, I fell for the stash, man, and I put Gardner Minshew in my lineup. And yeah, definitely a terrible shart here going up against New Orleans. I should have seen this coming. They stopped the run. Their offense goes through the run, and they stopped the run. And yeah, Gardner couldn't do anything. So 5 points from Gardner Minshew. And if I had had any sort of competent quarterback play this week, I would have won. So.
So Danny,
Not
how
good.
does it feel knowing that when I play Minshew, he does me fine, but when you play him, he sharts all over you.
It kind of makes sense because I feel like you're probably having illegal butt sex with him, and he, you know,
Hey
he
man,
thanks you for that. So,
nowadays it's 2019. We can't make fun of the gays, so it's
whoa,
not
I didn't say I
illegal,
was
but
doing that.
no, you said illegal butt sex. No, it's legal. It's legal butt sex. Get
I
it right.
never said anything about gay. Yeah, it looks like
Anyways,
you got something. It looks like you're hiding something, Akshay. Ooh, did we just expose something here?
Ooh,
Do we need
no,
to?
no.
I'm just kidding. Duncan's not here. He's busy studying, but that would have been cool if he had called us and come out of nowhere. But anyway, yeah, fart and shart of the week. Nahum, Terry McLaurin, fart. Pants are crisp and clean. Congratulations, my brother. Shart of the week, myself, Gardner Minshew. Not good. All over the place. Lots of stanky sausages and shart of the weeks on my resume this year. Bench regrets. But yeah, going to not finish last. We'll see if that happens. So, yeah, not good. I clicked the wrong.
Sit back, relax, and open your mind wide, because Cosmo and Danny are about to give you the tip of the week.
All right, one good tip is to always listen and learn from other people. Open your mind, like the sexy voice man says, and listen and learn. So that's why we brought in the fantasy master expert, Akshay. Take it away, Akshay. Hit us with that tip this week, man.
Oh man, oof! I got a big tip coming your way, you guys. Get your buttholes ready.
Whoa, what?
Oh, sorry. Wrong tip.
All right, I'm out. I've had enough of this.
So, if you look back at last year's season of mine, what did I do wrong? Danny, can you answer that?
Everything.
Cosmo?
You traded away almost every valuable player you had.
There you
Or-
go. There you go. Right on the money. Now,
Yes.
Danny, what did you do with your team this year?
Drafted him.
You traded away all your players, just like I did. So prepare, just bring it out there. Don't be like me. Don't trade all your players.
I mean, we're gonna get into this later in the
You-
transactions review,
No.
but I
no,
wouldn't
we-
say I did what you did.
No. But look, see here. Since week 1 to week 7, your QB is gone. You lost your you dropped Robert Woods. You traded Kamara. You traded Gurley.
I
Waller is
didn't
gone.
drop Robert Woods.
Or you traded him. Whatever. Same thing. Duke Johnson, Aaron is gone. Marvin Jones is gone. Breda is gone. Elliott is gone. Your defense is gone. Where's your team at?
Wait, Elliott is gone?
Your kicker.
Okay.
Kicker.
Okay.
It's a kicker. It's a kicker, regardless. And your defense is gone. So scratch those two because kickers and defense, like me. But anyways, so that's still 7 of your team is gone. That's what I did last year. So the tip I'm giving you guys is have faith in your team and don't be like me.
Oh, okay.
What?
Wait, hold on.
What the freak?
Okay, I have one big glaring question for you, Akshay. If that's your advice, and to stick with your team, to be consistent, not trade your team. What have you been doing the first 6 weeks of the season, Akshay?
I
Wait, what?
still
No,
have-
not first 6 weeks. First 2 days after our draft.
Danny, you can't talk. Who's dead last right now?
This has nothing to do. Actually, this is what you did last year. A player would play super well for you for like 4 weeks straight. They'd have one bad game, and you trade them away for someone that's like 3 tiers lower than them.
And at least I had a couple of my team this year. At least 3 or 4 of my players this year are from the beginning, and everyone who I traded for had performed well.
Yeah, I'm not talking about this year. You're comparing what I've done this year to what you did last year.
I acknowledge the fact last year was a bad year. That's what I'm saying. Don't be like me. You traded away your whole team this year.
Actually, you were the king sausage the first week, and from week 1 to week 2, you traded away like 4 of your players, and then
And that is-
proceeded to be the stanky sausage for like 3 weeks straight after that.
2 weeks.
I think you're giving inconsistent advice to the audience. I think you're saying one thing, but then
No,
you're doing
no.
another.
No, I'm saying, stick with your team, and don't be like me.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
And then
it's good advice.
I got one more small tip to give all of you guys. Don't listen to Danny or Cosmo. Those two are the worst advisors you can ever ask for.
Yes. Listen, Akshay.
Always
All
ask
right.
me questions.
All right. I think Akshay has proven his point very well. Yeah, congratulations. Cosmo, let's mark it down that we never let the guest take over that section again.
I'm just saying, just look how
make
good.
a mental
Just
note
look
for
how
next
good
time.
I did for Taylor.
Let's go ahead and mark that. Let's get the stage manager. Mark that down. Enter. Mark that. All right. Thanks. Okay. That's right. Listen to those tips. From the previous weeks. Probably not so much this week. No, it is actually a good. It is a good tip. It is a good tip. I give you that, Akshay. I think your example was a little wrong, but it is definitely a good tip. Have faith in your team. Brandon is a good example of this every year. He holds on to his guys. He doesn't waver through the dark times, and he always comes out strong. So, yeah, hold faith unless it's time to let go. That's what you got. You got to ride that that line of, when you need to hold and when you need to fold. So it's just something you learn along the way. So thanks for that, Akshay. You suck.
Time to find out if you're a loser or a winner. It's time for the weekly matchup review.
All right, week 6 in the books. Let's see how everyone did here. You know what? Let's go ahead and start with our guest here since his ego is so fat and massive. Derrick Henry Dream going up against Duncan, who recently changed his name, but we won't say it until the matchup preview because we're looking forward, not back. So this one was projected a 119 to 105 win for Duncan here. And and it turned out to be a 114 to 110 win for Akshay. Yeah, it was quite the stinger. Aaron Jones tried his best to lose this game for Akshay, or lose this matchup for Akshay, but it didn't happen. On Akshay's side, Dak Prescott 18 points, DJ Chark 6 points, Calvin Ridley 13 points, Aaron Jones 6, Derrick Henry 3. How did you win? Austin Hooper 21. Okay, there we go. Cortland Sutton 9.6, and his kicker 15, and his defense 21. Okay, so yeah, there we go. On Duncan's side, 30 points from Lamar Jackson. I feel like every time Lamar has a good week, Duncan loses. 14 points from Julio Jones. He's definitely feeling the Julio Jones frustration. 6.9 points from Will Fuller. Really great idea chasing those points from last week. 11.8 points from Lev Bell. 12.3 from Sony Michel. 7.8 from. Wait, did we talk about? I guess we didn't talk about the Thursday night game with the Giants Patriots yet, but yeah, apparently Sony Michel is the backup running back to Tom Brady now. Yeah, Tom Brady, they went down to the goal line and they rushed like 4 times with Tom Brady up the middle for 2 touchdowns. And yeah, they wasn't even looking at Sony Michel, so that's kind of weird. Travis Kelce, 7.8 points. Mike Williams, 9.7. I don't know why Duncan keeps having faith in him. And not much from his kicker and defense here. So close game. Akshay sneaks out the win, but not on the back of the best performance from his team. Akshay, are you worried going forward, or do you think it was just a fluke?
Yeah, I need to have a word for Aaron Jones and Derrick Henry. This week is your last shot. If y'all fail this week, I'm dropping you guys. All right, that's my pep talk to my team.
Okay, Cosmo, what do you take away from this matchup here?
Yeah, I feel bad for Duncan's team, guys. I still think I feel like I'm saying it every single week, but I still think his team is really good. It's just I think there's a lot of players that are underperforming, but I do think there's a lot of players on his team that are going to bounce back. Julio's not going to be as bad as he has been like the last 3 or 4 weeks, where he's been pretty mediocre after a hot start. I think Lev Bell, especially with Darnold coming back, I think he's about to pop off. And Kelsey's getting the volume. He's getting a lot of receptions. In time, I think the points are going to come with Kelsey. So I still feel okay with Duncan's team. I still think he has a good team. I think it just comes down to, can he come back from a 1-5 deficit? And I'm not sure if he can, but I still like his team going forward. And I think in terms of Akshay's team, you say I get everything wrong. I did say last week that the one time Akshay is going to play DJ Chark, it's going to shart in his pants, and that's
Fair
exactly
enough.
what happened here. And
But
exactly what's going to happen, Akshay, is if you play him again, he's going to do bad, and then if you put him on your bench, he's probably going to score 30 points.
oh yeah, knowing my luck, oh yeah, you
But,
you can't be Latimer. You can't be Latimer. That guy stopped him every turn, man.
yeah, Marshawn Latimer actually is becoming one of the best, establishing himself as one of the best cornerbacks in the league. But yeah, I think solid performance from Akshay. I think the one player I'm kind of worried about is Aaron Jones. After his freaking 42-point game week, he lost touches to Jamal Williams, had a fumble, dropped some passes. So I'm a little worried about Aaron Jones there, but nonetheless, a nice victory here.
Yeah, he had the fumble. They showed a little faith in him, put him back in, and then he dropped this extremely wide open,
Yes.
perfectly placed touchdown pass.
It's like a 42 yards. Something like that.
and they immediately pulled him from the game, and Jamal Williams pretty much was in the game for the next like 2 quarters before Aaron Jones came back in.
Yeah,
Um,
Jones came back like last like minute or two, right?
yeah, just to like run out the clock or help them get down the field. But yeah, and Jamal Williams was pretty good in that little stretch there. So we'll have to see what that means going forward. But yeah, like you said, Nahum, or not, God dang, I'm so messed up tonight. Like you said,
How
Cosmo.
dare you?
Oh no,
He sounded like a
nutsack. No,
I
just
don't
kidding.
want to go.
I don't want to go to Rainbow Land, and you can't make me go to Rainbow. Yeah, Duncan always has high projections, but always comes up short, unfortunately. Hopefully, the bounce back starts soon, and he's getting Marlon Mack back next week, so hopefully things turn around for our dear friend Duncan. Let's keep it rolling within the podcast here. Our next matchup was Cosmo versus Rahi, and this was projected a 117 to 115 win for Rahi here. Cosmo, I feel like they're always disrespecting you with the projections. Like I feel like every time we read this, it's like you're projected to lose, and then you overperform by like 20 points each week, and yet you still have the low projection. I don't know what's going on there.
I must have pissed off Brad Evans for messing
Yeah,
with him so much.
but it was actually a 129 to 85 win for Cosmo here. Solid week from Cosmo. Kyler Murray, as we said, 29 points. Hold on. Julian Edelman, 16 points. Chris Godwin, 20. Dalvin Cook, 12 against a tough Philadelphia run defense. Kerryon Johnson, 13. OJ Howard, 4.5. Tyler Boyd, 2.5. Ouch. And then the fantasy MVP of the year, New England defense, 27 points. Over on Rahi's side, we got 20 from Carson Wentz, 4 from Brandon Cooks, 14.6 from Kenny Galladay, who has just been really good this year, 20 from Christian McCaffrey, kind of a low week for him, 4.9 from Joe Mixon, 5.4 from Zach Ertz, 3.7 from Cooper Kupp, 7 point. Yeah, it's not a good week on Rahi's side here, but he'll bounce back, as I am sure. Akshay, what do you take away from this?
I still think personally, Cosmo has the best team in the league. Obviously, he is 5-1 for a reason, but I don't think he's the scariest team. And I think Rahi's team just choked.
Well, that's what happens when you eat too much curry. Cosmo, what are you excited about your team? You feel nervous? And do you think Rahi's on the bounce back trail?
I feel great about my team, which is probably the worst feeling to have because as soon as you feel great about something, something finds a way to crush your hopes and dreams.
Yeah, just like relationships, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Ayo. But I'm feeling good, and the player I'm really hyped about is Kyler Murray. I was beating the Kyler Murray drum in the preseason. I had faith in him. He gave me a little scares early in the season, but he's really settling down as like one of the most consistent and high scoring quarterbacks in the league. So I feel very, very good about Kyler Murray. So
I have a trade proposition to make with you, Cosmo. I'll give you Aaron Jones for New England defense.
Let's talk after this podcast. But yeah, and then I think I did get really lucky though. I was able to face Rahi the weeks where Christian McCaffrey didn't turn into God mode and Cooper Kupp had a bad week. So I consider myself lucky here, but I'm glad to take the W.
Yeah, I feel like Rahi's team is definitely better than 3-3. He just keeps getting some unlucky breaks, losing a Pittsburgh defense and just having some bad breaks. But yeah, your team's looking very consistent and good. Reminds me of Duncan's team last year. You get Evan Ingram back this week. Hopefully Devonta Adams can start, contributing to your team. And I think it was just an off week for Tyler Boyd. So I think your team is fine here. One thing about Kyler Murray, he's been great. Definitely was wrong about him going into this season. I will say though, his schedule is going to start getting pretty tough. Like he's got Giants this week, which will be great, but then he goes New Orleans, San Francisco, I guess Tampa Bay will be fine, and then San Francisco again, and then the Rams, Pittsburgh. So we'll have to see if he can keep it rolling through some of those tough defenses. But I'm sure he'll still give you a solid week going through there. All right, next matchup here. Let's see, who do we want to go with here? Let's go to the one we alluded to earlier. Taylor versus Cameron here. This one was projected to be a very tight matchup, 106.7 for Cameron to 106.1 for Taylor here, and it ended up being the biggest blowout on the week. 141.7 for Taylor King Sausage against 79.32 for Cameron Stanky Sausage. On Taylor's side, 12 points from Jameis Winston, who threw 5 interceptions and yet still ended up with 12 points. Mike Evans, 16 points. Not sure how you get 16 points when your quarterback throws 5 interceptions, but he did it. Stephon Diggs, hello, welcome back, Stephon Diggs. 40 points. I projected the week before this was going to be his blow-up week, but no, it was the week after. Against Philadelphia, 3 reception touchdowns, 167 yards on 7 receptions. Absolute monster week here. Imagine if Mike Evans and Stephon Diggs had their monster weeks at the same time. Ooh, that'd be crazy. Mark Ingram, 14 points. David Johnson, 25 points. Very cool reception touchdown from him. George Kittle, solid 14 points. Adrian Peterson, solid 14 points. And surprisingly, Greg the Leg only gave him 1 point. That was a little crazy there. But on Cameron's side, 18 points from Patrick Mahomes, who is struggling with that Madden curse right now, hitting his offensive line hard and unable to run on that bum ankle as much. DeAndre Hopkins, has been very disappointing so far this year. Hopefully he'll bounce back. Michael Thomas, 12.9 points, and then just not a lot else from the rest of his team. We won't go through it. We'll save you the embarrassment, Cameron, but it's not good. Let me just tell you, it's not good. Taylor's team looking extremely strong and scary, and he's got Saquon coming back this week. Cameron's team started off really hot, but has been kind of teetering lately. Cosmo, do you think Cameron is just kind of in a bit of a lull, or do you think he's in trouble here and needs to make some moves?
I think he might be in a little bit of trouble, and I think we alluded to it like the last couple of weeks. But I think the running back situation is just a little bit shaky. I'm not sure that trade for LaShawn McCoy has not looked great so far. He's not really getting tons of volume in that Kansas City offense, and the Kansas City offense hasn't been all that great the last couple of weeks. Austin Eckler had his first bad game, and I think he'll be better than 4 points every week. But I definitely think with Melvin Gordon back, his role in the offense is shrinking. And I think Breida's fine. He's a solid running back. So I'm a little worried about his running backs, and I think it could bring some trouble for him. But he's still got some players that are valuable. He's still got probably the best wide receiver core in the league. Mahomes is going to be better. So hopefully those things can cancel out the running back issue. But not looking the greatest.
Yeah, not the greatest. He's got Darren Waller coming back next week off the bye, so that should help a little bit on the tight end position. But yeah, Taylor's team looking very solid, very different from last year. So whatever preparation he did over the summer and praying he did before the draft, it's been paying off. And so congrats, Taylor. Good to see the bounce back. You promised it last year, and you're delivering. So
I just want to say, Taylor, good work with David Johnson, man. You scammed me big time, but
don't worry, Akshay. Everyone else saw that coming from a mile away. So glad you finally caught up.
Hopper and Ridley is still doing me solid.
You can't even say his name right. He's been performing super well for your team, and you can't even say his name right.
I don't learn their names until the season's up.
Okay, next matchup here. Let's go. We'll go with this one real quick. Myself versus Brandon, the age-old rivalry. Projected 108 to 108. Close matchup here, and unfortunately, for myself. It was a 117 to 104 victory for Brandon. And yeah, I completely blame this one on my brain fart at the quarterback selection. I was choosing between Gardner Minshew and Kirk Cousins. And I really don't know why I didn't pick Kirk Cousins against Philadelphia, knowing that they would try to stop the run and they'd have to throw with those weapons he has. And for some reason, I picked Gardner going against New Orleans. I don't really know what was happening. I think this was like a late night decision. Just popped him in there. Um, but yeah, if I had played Kirk Cousins, I would have won. Unfortunately, got that L. But nice to see Tyreek Hill come back and instantly be a fantasy force with 22.5 points. Zeke had a nice day, 23.7 points. They finally said, hey, let's stop trying to do this crazy pass offense with Dak because it's clearly not working, and let's shove the ball into Zeke's chest 28 times. And they almost came back and won. So hopefully they'll use that recipe going forward. Damian Williams, 8.5 points, whatever. Mark Andrews, 10.9, and then a good showing from my defense, but it wasn't enough. On Cameron's side, 21 points to Tom Brady with 2 rushing touchdowns, 13 points to Odell, 18.6 points to Alshon Jeffrey, 27.4 to James Conner, 14.8 from Leonard Fournette, 0 from Will Disley, but it didn't hurt him this week, and a good showing from his kicker and defense here. So yeah, I guess we can't really say a whole lot on my team. We'll talk about that going forward, but I guess well, I guess there's a couple we can talk about. Cosmo, any thing you want to mention from this matchup here?
I think from your team, I think it's really good to see, like you said, Tyreek Hill perform right away. He obviously showed no signs of wear and tear from that injury, so I think he should be really, really helpful for your team going forward. I think on Brandon's side, a couple weeks ago, I mentioned how I was a little nervous about his running backs going forward. At the time, Leonard Fournette and James Conner were not looking good. If you watch the games, they weren't looking good. The situation isn't looking good, but they have bounced back over the last couple of weeks, and they're looking pretty solid. Fournette has been actually one of the biggest surprises this year. He's complete. No matter how bad he is, which I think he's a bad running back, they give him the ball so many dang times it doesn't even matter. So Fournette, I think it's going to be really solid going forward. And Conner, as long as he's healthy, he's a central part of that offense. And again, he should be good going forward. So I think I was wrong on that. And I think Brandon seems looking fine going forward.
Yeah, listen to these carry counts for Leonard Fournette: 20, 23, 29,
Jesus.
along with like 5 receptions each game. Yeah,
Yeah.
but the efficiency is terrible, but they just keep giving him the ball. So eventually he's going to score like 15 points for your team. So solid RB2 there. Akshay, I know you're waiting to comment on this one, so go ahead.
Actually, no, there's not much to say about your team. Like, I'll be honest, your team is not that bad. You just need a proper defense, and honestly, your running backs just to do something for you. Elliott did something, but you just need your second running back to do something for you. But your team's not bad. I'm just shocked that you're 1-5, to be honest.
Wait, did you say proper defense?
No, quarterback. My bad. I apologize.
Oh,
Quarterback.
okay.
My bad. My bad.
Yeah. No, the quarterback position has definitely been
Yeah.
a shaky one for my team this year.
You've been jumping quarterbacks. How many times how many different quarterbacks have you had this year alone?
None. I had Aaron Rodgers the whole way up till this week.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Then you had Minshew, and now you have
Well, now I've got someone else,
Allen.
but
Yeah.
uh,
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think your team is fine. You just need a proper quarterback, and if your running backs actually perform properly as they should, like every week, you should be fine.
yeah. Oh well, sometimes you win a championship and then people want to keep you down. So whatever.
I'm not complaining, but
Yeah, it's okay. Actually, I'll just snuggle up next to my championship trophy and I'll sleep well at night, knowing that it'll never be in your hands. So, all right, next
Ouch.
matchup here, the final one. We have the sorry. The highest scoring matchup of the week here. It was against Nahum against Aaron here, and it was projected 120 to 110 win for Nahum, and Aaron overperformed or outperformed his projection. Scored 134 on the week to beat Nahum's 129.5. Like we said, very high scoring, very close matchup here. On Aaron's side, 29 points from Russell Wilson, 15 from Adam Thielen, 10 from Lockett, 26 from Nick Chubb, 25 from Freeman, and 17.5 from Carlos Hyde, who just refuses to die in the NFL. Just keeps on chugging along on different teams, ruining the fantasy hopes of other running backs on the same team. On Nahum's side, 29 points from Deshaun Watson. Unfortunately, 4 from Keenan Allen and zero point 0.8 from Cooper. 23.9 from Chris Carson, 10 from Alvin Kamara, 1 from Vance McDonald, 24 from McLaurin, 13 from Tucker, and 23 from Denver defense, who is really starting to come into their own, what I thought they were going to be at the start of the season. Looks like they're finally getting Vic Fangio's defense down and getting a lot of sacks, a lot of interceptions. So we'll see if they can keep that rolling. And yeah, I would say things are looking really good for Aaron's team. He definitely outperforms his projection a lot. I think we were questioning his receiving core going into the year, and he's made some moves to fix that. Like you said, Freeman's been getting better each week, a little bit more consistent each week. They're using him in the passing game a lot more. Over on Nahum's side, I don't think he really has anything to worry about. Just had a little bit of underperformance from his receivers, and it looks like he might have the tight end position fixed. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, unfortunate, Cosmo, we've seen this with Keenan Allen. He kind of goes cold for a few games, and then he comes out and scores like, a million points for like 4 games straight. So do you think he's just on a cold streak, or is this something to be worried about?
I think it's I don't want to like hedge too much, but I think it's a little bit of both. Like I think he'll be fine going forward. But I am a little worried about this Charger offense. Usually they're at least like relatively consistent. Philip Rivers is you know, has been a pretty solid, contributor that could put up league average production at the very least for long periods of time. But I
Yeah.
think with some like injuries to their O line and stuff, this Chargers offense just doesn't look very good. So I'm a little bit afraid of his upside. I just don't think he's going to come close to what he was doing those first 3 weeks. But I mean, he's still the number one receiver, and he's one of the most talented route runners in the league. So I think he'll still be fine. But I think the days of him being the number one guy are way long gone.
Yeah, I would agree that they've lost many people on their offensive line and their center, and it seems like whenever the center goes down, it really affects things. So we'll see if they can kind of tweak their offense and bounce back. But I guess Akshay, do you got any comments for your arch nemesis Aaron's team over here?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how the hell this piss poor team is doing good.
Come on, that's all you got. That's all you got.
That's it.
I'll have to hold it in for next draft day. But all I gotta say, man, is how the hell did Nahum have 129 points with 2 of his players scoring less than 1 point or less?
That's what we've been saying about Nahum's team. It's scary,
That's terrifying.
scary
as
team.
hell. He doesn't need a quarter of his a percentage of his team, and he still overperforms.
Yeah, he
That's
literally Nahum. You could have not played 2 wide receivers and a tight end this week, and you would have scored over 120 points. That's kind of
You would have
crazy.
beat half of us.
Yeah, so, yeah, true.
That's just like that's not even fair.
But yeah, so good week from everyone. Let's keep things rolling here into
Get your fab ready. It's time to make it rain on them hoes.
So good, so good. All right, getting into our transaction review here. Let's start with the fab bids and the waivers here. Not too many this week. I think people are starting to chill out, settle with their teams and stuff like that, and the waiver wires have been pretty bare lately. But just a few highlights. First one here, we had Jamal Williams come up on the waiver wires back from his injury, performed really well in the game. I dropped $11 on him to win him this week, above Aaron's $4. Definitely an overpay on my part. I originally had like a $5 bid in here for him, which would have won. But I thought with some of the trades I made, we'll get into in a second. I really needed some running back depth desperately, so and there wasn't much else out there, so I decided to put some money on and make sure I got them. So yeah, I mean, obviously, as we've heard in the past, like you know, we're not really sure about the Jamal Aaron Jones show, but I
Hmm.
couldn't be running around with like two running backs on my roster, so I needed to grab somebody. Akshay picks up Sam Darnold and drops Sammy Watkins. The man himself, Sammy Watkins, went nuclear week one. And the only reason I put this on here, Akshay, is because I wanted to know how many insane trade offers did you get for Sammy Watkins that you turned down and are now 6 weeks later or 5 weeks later dropping him.
I'll be honest, man. I'll be honest. Only trade offer that I could recall or remember, and I'm pretty sure it's the only one I had was from you the night of.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because with Tyreek Hill going down, I was like, crap. Like I need to replace him
Yeah,
with somebody. And so I know we had talked about it a little bit, but
yeah.
uh, yeah. What a world! What a
I
world
mean,
with Sammy Watkins.
yeah. I'll pick him up after Dallas bye week in a couple of weeks after I play. After I get my fill with Sammy, what you call it, Donald, Sam Donald. I'll pick him Sammy Rockets back up in a couple of weeks.
Okay. All right, sounds good, actually. All right, next we had Nahum. Cosmo, I know you put this one in here. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of tight end overpays over the last couple of weeks. Um, I remember Jason Witten went for a high amount a couple
Hmm.
weeks ago. Gerald Everett went for like $16 last week. So I think it's crazy that Nahum was able to get Hunter Henry for $0, drop Jason Witten, and I think really solidified his tight end position with Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry was like pretty much a consensus top six tight end. He got hurt, week two, and just came back this week, and I just find it very surprising that more people weren't in on Hunter Henry this week. I considered picking him up, but I really needed a tight end that I knew for sure was going to play with the Ingram out, and so I didn't pick him up. But I kind of wish I did. But I think that was a really savvy move by Nahum there.
Yeah, he kind of slipped under the radar here. I saw he was practicing like limited practicing again, and I didn't really think it was anything special yet. Um, but yeah, Nahum picked him up, and it turned out really really good for him. So yeah, props to Nahum there. Hopefully your tight end hole in your team, that tight hole has been filled. Nahum, hopefully. But all right, let's get into some trades. And you know what? Let's let our commissioner take this away.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, trade. I mean, this is the Danny segment this week. This is the Danny segment because Danny went through probably the biggest trade activity condensed in such a small period that I've ever seen in my life. I mean, you literally
Yeah.
flipped your team. Either the same team you had last week is completely different than the team you had this week. You made some big moves, huge moves. And I guess we'll see how they'll pan out. But you kind of want to go over your thought process from the last one. And actually, let's go ahead and start with the first one that was made. Nahum traded you Ezekiel Elliott and his backup. These were two different trades, but we'll go ahead and condense into one. Nahum traded Ezekiel Elliott and the backup Tony Pollard to Danny for Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray. I gotta say, I think out of all the trades you made, I think this one was your best one, and I think I don't really know what Nahum was doing here, giving away Kamara. I mean, giving away Zeke for Kamara. I think Zeke is just the way more stable option. I think he's got a lot more upside in that Dallas offense. He,
Yeah.
you know, he's someone that's going to get a lot more volume guaranteed, and so I think this is a really good move for you. But what were your thoughts on making this trade?
That was basically it. Like one, Sean Payton just drives me absolutely insane watching the Saints games. The way he like it just I can't watch it. I just needed to get rid of that headache for one. And then two, Kamara. As much as I like Kamara and as cool as he is and great Twitter follow and all that, I just feel like every play I watch him, like at the end of the play, I'm like, man, he could get injured at any moment. Like it's just the way he runs. Kind of he's got that smaller frame, the way people are hitting him, stuff like that. I was like, I feel like at any moment there's an injury that's about to happen, especially when he gets more usage like he's been getting. And I was like, look, I picked him in the first round. I need my first rounder to be more consistent and start performing better for me, especially if I'm going to try to get some wins. And so I went to Nahum. I know Nahum's a big fan of Kamara. Um, Zeke had been kind of meh so far this year. And I was talking to him, and his team's so good. The people he's got around his team are so good that if Kamara has kind of an off week, doesn't really matter to him. But if he has like a boom week, then he's going to score like 180 points. So he decided he was fine with the inconsistency of Kamara. Kamara has higher upside. I wanted the more consistent, high volume person, so I got Zeke here. But the deal was contingent on getting a new fantasy team name and profile for Nahum here, because as everyone knows, he was Zeke respects women with the ever famous meme of Zeke eating out of the cereal bowl, doing his classic eat, for yardage and everything. A great, great profile name and picture. Nahum was afraid that if he changed his profile name and picture, it was going to affect his season. And but then I told him, he had the same name and profile picture last year, and he started off really hot and then fell off. So maybe changing your name and profile picture will help you this year. But anyway, so for a couple days, we bounced names back and forth, tried to figure something out. Finally settled on Cox out for Kamara, and I was able to find a very modelish pick, a very sensual pick of Kamara here. Sent it to Nahum, and Nahum somehow found one of the biggest, most HD looking pictures of a dick I've ever seen, and he photoshopped that thing onto Kamara, and it is priceless, man. It is really good. And even though he got the L this week, he still scored a ton. Just had a couple, his receivers not perform too well. So I don't think he's got to worry about any sort of curse or anything. I think his team's still really great. So, but yeah, so we got that trade done, and like you said, that was pretty much my reasoning behind it. I wanted someone more consistent, someone more safe, because in my case, if Kamara didn't score me 20 plus points, I was probably losing the week. So that was pretty much the reasoning behind that one. I wanted more consistency on my team.
And Akshay, will you have your Cox out for Kamara?
I mean, I was hoping someone would trade me Camaro because I need to have another Camaro gate coming up, but apparently it's not happening this season.
I mean, you could hit up Nahum. He's a big fan of yours.
All right, moving on to the next trade here. We have another one here, Danny, one of many. Danny went ahead and tried to shore up the quarterback position, traded Robert Woods to Aaron for Josh Allen, who Aaron picked up last week. Akshay, what are your opinions on this trade that Danny pulled off here?
It was a great trade on your part, Danny. I don't know what Aaron was spoken, giving up probably a top 5 quarterback. I honestly was hoping to pick up Josh Allen on the waiver wires a few weeks back, but he got picked up. So, no, I'm joking when I say top 5, but he's playing Miami, so I'm kind of scared. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how I feel about this one because I actually am a fan of Robert Woods, and I think he is a really great receiver. I think Goff is just terrible, and Woods needs a lot of volume, which Cup and Cooks are taking a little bit of that volume away. Um, this was mostly because I was just sick and tired of trying to deal with the quarterback situation. I know Kirk Cousins was out there on the waiver wire, but I mean, come on, he played the Giants in Philadelphia. Like, of course, you're going to have good quarterback games against them. And then the rest of the way forward, they're playing against like really terrible run defenses. So I think it's just going to turn more back into, the 10 to 14 point Kirk Cousins each week. So didn't really care for him. Josh Allen has a really nice schedule coming up. And he runs and everything, so good for fantasy. And I hit Aaron up. I was trying to trade some other people for Josh Allen, but Aaron was being an annoying a-hole and only wanted Robert Woods. And so I just said, you know what? I'm tired of the headache of dealing with the Rams offense. I'm tired of this conversation with Aaron. So I just gave him Robert Woods and got Josh Allen back. And I don't really care if Robert Woods goes out and have a good week this week. I mostly just wanted to be done with the Rams offense and needed to shore up the quarterback position. So I would say we could probably turn this trade into trades Robert Woods for Josh Allen plus peace of mind. So we can
I have
call
a
this one out.
additional question to ask you, Danny.
What?
On a scale to 1 to me, how is it to deal with Aaron on trades?
One to you.
Yeah.
I would say he's about halfway to you.
Damn. Ouch. Ouch. Hell
Um,
yeah.
because I will say Aaron does tend to, I feel like, I mean, obviously he's trying to get the most value he can and the best deal he can. I feel like sometimes his players are a little overvalued in his eyes, but you know, that to each their own. But actually, I feel like when I'm trading with you, I'm trading with like a brick wall. So um, yeah, no, I would say if I had to choose between trading with Aaron or trading with Akshay, I would probably choose trading. I would for sure I would choose trading with Aaron. So,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry to say that, but
No,
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 that's
no,
how I
yeah, it's
feel.
fine. It's fine. It's just I feel like when every time you try to trade with me, you go outrageous in the beginning. Like you try picking for like you try catching me off my guard. So you go for like the highest bid possible, and then you dumb it down, and then you break it down. Like you have a whole entire paragraph on why, trying to just scare me into submission. And I'm just saying, like, I was just wondering if you did that to everyone else.
I mean, it worked last year, didn't it?
All right.
Touche.
All right. Moving on to the next trade here. Let's go down to actually this other one. Danny, again, traded Mark Andrews to Brandon for Devin Singletary, the running back for the Bills. I think I think this is the one trade you made, Danny, that I think I preferred the other side. I think Brandon. This is a really good trade for Brandon. He's really lacking at the tight end position, especially with his man Will Disley going down. And I think he picked up a very solid guy for Mark Andrews, who's quietly been one of the better tight ends in football this year, and has been a focal point of the Ravens offense. But I do think you got a nice piece back in Devin Singletary. I think the guy is really, really talented. I just am a little bit afraid that for some reason Frank Gore just will not die, and for some reason these coaches just give him volume. So I'm not entirely sure how that backfield's going to shake out, but I think the upside is definitely there for Singletary. But what was your thought process behind that deal for Singletary?
Well, I'll be first to admit Brandon won this trade hands down, and I knew that going into this trade. But also he needed a tight end desperately, and I needed running back depth desperately. And I like Singletary. I like his schedule coming up. And before his hamstring injury, they were actually giving him more and more touches, and he was really explosive on the field and really good for their team. Um, so I just, thought he'd be a good addition to my running back core. I have Chris Herndon on my bench, who I also believe in. I know he's obviously haven't gotten to see him do anything this year so far, but from the preseason and from last year, I think you can count on him. And I did have just some weird feelings about Mark Andrews. It seems like at any minute you could have a Lamar Jackson run for 300 yards day where he doesn't really throw anything. Seems to be kind of inaccurate sometimes. And Mark Andrews fumbled last week, and as we know with the Ravens, if you fumble, they punish you endlessly. So I just kind of okay. I will say all these trades before the season started, because I knew my team had some risky things on it, some question marks. I said if things aren't working by the end of week 6, I'm just gonna clean the slate and start over. And I mean, hey, week 7 might have been the week where everything came together and broke out for the rest of the year. Oh well, too little, too late. But I'm not gonna wait around and just hope for things to click, and then all of a sudden it's week 13 and things still haven't clicked. So um, a lot of these trades were I was not able to really get the value that I wanted to. I was not able to get, uh, you know, best price for my players, all that kind of stuff. But like I said, it was more just wiping the slate clean, getting a whole new team in there, this is going to be a multi-week process, not just this week of building back up. And honestly, at this point, I'm really just going for not last. So I'm not trying to make some like groundbreaking moves and everything like that. So I like Singletary. He's passed his bye, got a really good schedule, needed some running back depth, and Brandon obviously didn't want to part with Fournette or Josh Jacobs or James Conner,
Yeah.
rightfully so. And so yeah, I probably could have gotten more for Mark Andrews. Brandon definitely won this trade, but I will say that I don't really have a regret. So
I don't know, man. Like, probably against both of you guys. I think you, at least for the next couple of weeks, I feel like you actually won that trade, especially since, like I said, Miami Dolphins again. I feel like regardless of Franco or not, I feel like he's going to get you at least 10 to 15 points because it's just Miami Dolphins. They've been giving it the most points to running backs, and I'm kind of terrified to see what happens this week. That's all I gotta say.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to the last trade
Oh,
here
God.
that Danny pulled off, and this was a podcast incestual trade here. Me and Danny made a trade, and it was a big one.
Mhm.
Going over to Danny was Chris Godwin, and going over to myself was a package of Todd Gurley, Malcolm Brown, and Damian Williams. And so it was a big trade on both parts, a lot of risk involved. But I gotta say, I really do think it was a win-win trade for both of us. I think it made sense for both of our teams to do that. In my case, I am pretty stacked at receiver. I had tons of receivers. Devontae Adams should be back the next couple of weeks, who was my first pick. AJ Green is supposed to be coming back in the next couple of weeks. I have Tyler Boyd. I have Julian Edelman. So I felt pretty good about my receiver depth, but my running back depth was very, very weak. Outside of Dalvin Cook and Carry-On, I had trash sitting on my bench. And if one of those two guys got hurt, I was pretty screwed. And so instead of waiting, instead of being forced into a position where I'd have to trade at a discount to get a running back or something later on, I just wanted to be proactive and use some of the high trade chips I had to get some running back depth. And so I feel like I got some good ones with Todd Gurley and Malcolm Brown. Who Gurley, I think, was looking a lot better the last couple of weeks before his injury. And then Damian Williams is kind of a boom bust type guy, but if he works out, he could be really good for myself. But Danny, what are your thoughts about this trade and like how you think it's going to help your team?
yeah, I didn't want to get rid of Gurley either because I still believe in him. I liked him. He was doing well for my team. But with his injury and just the Rams' headache of an offense lately, like I said, I just thought it was more important for me to lock down a solid top 10 receiver um, and try to get some wins now. I know Godwin's on a bye this week, but starting next week with him, you needed the running back depth. And so I guess, I was going to. Should we withhold the details of the behind the scenes details of this trade, Cosmo, or should we let everyone know? Let everyone know.
We gotta disclose it.
We got to discuss. All right. So, all right. I'll be honest.
Oh,
I was
boy.
talking to Cosmo. We were going back and forth on like a big trade involving a lot of pieces on my team and like Dalvin Cook on his team and some other people and stuff like that. We ultimately decided that Dalvin Cook needed to stay with Cosmo because that's his boy. He's got to keep riding with him. We can't, mess up that mojo. And so then Cosmo was like, "Well, I'm trying to, sell some receivers because I'm stacked at receivers and I really need to help my running back depth." And so I was like, "Okay, well, would you want Melvin Gordon for one of your receivers?" And then we kind of talked about it, and Cosmo was like, "I'm not really feeling Melvin Gordon." And he was like, "What about Todd Gurley and Malcolm Brown?" And I was like, "I don't really know." But I kind of thought to myself and was like, you know what? I just want to get that headache off my team of the Rams offense, not have to have that worry each week. Um, and I'm gonna go for some wins now with Chris Godwin. So I was like, yeah, I'll do Todd Gurley, Malcolm Brown for Chris Godwin, and so Cosmo's like, okay. And then Cosmo goes, in full disclosure, I've been shopping around Chris Godwin, and I have another offer currently on the table. I'm waiting to hear from it. But if that doesn't work out, then I'll definitely go with your offer. And so at this point, I was like, "Ah, shoot! Like I don't want to lose out on Chris Godwin." Um, and so I was like, I got kind of curious. I was like, "Well, can you like, are you cool telling me like who the other person is and what their offer is?" And Cosmo was like, "Yeah, I sent an offer to Duncan to trade Chris Godwin for Marlon Mack and Christian Kirk." But he hasn't responded, and so, and then Cosmo was like, "I don't think he'll take it though, because he really likes, Marlon Mack, and he really needs him, and he's off his bye and has a good schedule and everything." And so I was kind of sitting there, and I was like, "You know what? I have a big feeling Duncan's gonna take this offer," and I was like, "I'm battling with him right now for last. I can't let this. I can't let this go through. I can't let this happen." So I messaged Cosmo back, and I said, "I'll give you Todd Gurley, Malcolm Brown, and I will throw in Damian Williams if you accept right now and don't wait for Duncan." And so Cosmo was like, okay. And so he accepted it, canceled his offer with Duncan. I sent mine and he accepted it. And so I don't know if we've got Godwin Gate right now, but all I know is I sniped Duncan for Chris Godwin. And so,
Jesus.
yeah, maybe I gave up a little bit more than I wanted to, kind of hurt my running back depth. But yeah, that Chiefs backfield's looking scary, especially with their offensive line injuries and the timeshare. So, I like I said, all these trades, it was more just about cleaning my team out, getting a whole new face and new look in there, and going forward, and just trying not to get last. And so gave up a little bit more than I wanted to, but got Chris Godwin, who I really believe in. So I'm excited for that. And I'm sorry, Duncan.
Can I just say I'm ashamed of both of you guys. Last season, during Kamara Gate, you guys attacked me and ridiculed me and said that was that was
Hey,
dirty.
hey,
That was
I
dirty
never,
play.
I never had a problem with it because I got him.
Yeah, you did it. Yeah, you're right. Everyone else did, but your asses over here are
No,
conspiring
stop
behind.
comparing everything you did last year to things that have happened this year because they're not anywhere the same. You literally like went to four other people and like got different offers, and then you accepted an offer from Nahum. You told him yes, the deal was absolutely done, and then you just canceled it out of nowhere, and all this other it was just a crazy mess of manipulating and lying and talking to a bunch of other people. So um
But regardless, you still were behind someone's back, Cosmo. Not you. That's not on you, Danny. That's on Cosmo. And you told someone about a trade offer that's going on that he's competing exactly, against.
Hey,
I smell collusion there, man. I feel like y'all are
I'd
working
like to.
together. I feel like y'all are working together.
hey,
You guys see this? How I'm getting treated? I'm getting kicked off the podcast. You see that? You see that?
no, I was
yeah.
saying Judge
Hey,
Duncan's
can
coming
we
up.
cut off Akshay's mic? Let's cut off the mic. You know
Oh
what?
man.
If you
but
want to put me on trial, I have nothing to hide. I am open when I come to discussing trades. So, if you
but
want to accuse me of collusion, bring it on.
No,
I
I,
will
I
say,
actually think
I
there's
will
nothing
say,
wrong with
Danny.
that. Like
No,
that's a
I will say, Danny. I approve of it because I do like dirty moves and sneaky moves like that. So I do approve.
Hey, you know what? I would say one, there's nothing wrong with Cosmo doing that, like because it obviously it boosts what he gets. Like, if you are buying a car from a dealership and you go to one dealership and they say, "Ah, we'll give it to you for this price," and you go to the next one, they're like, "Well, we'll give it to you for this price," and it's lower, then you can go back to the previous dealership and be like, "Hey, well, they're giving me this, but I want to buy from you guys. Like, can you knock the price down?" Like, you know what I
You
mean?
see
So
this? You see this,
he's like,
Duncan? You see this, Duncan?
he's
He's
like
comparing you
he's
to
like,
a
"Hey, this
car
is what I'm
dealership.
getting over
How do you
here.
feel?
This
How
is
do
what I
you
want
feel, Duncan?
more." And I was like, "You know what? I want this." And I think on my part, I took advantage of the situation. I was like, "I want Chris Godwin. I don't want this going to Duncan. I don't want to be last." And so I was just like, "You know what? Here you go. Take it or leave it right now." Just like shoot, who's the owner of the Mavs? I've totally spacing on his
Mark
name right
Mark
Cuban,
now.
Mark,
Cuban.
Mark
Mark
Cuban.
Cuban.
Just like he is on the Shark Tank where he's like, "You got 20 seconds to accept this offer," or else, so hate Cosmo with that. So I would say there wasn't any sort of like collusion going on. There wasn't any sort of weird manipulation like Kamara Gate last year. It was a good strat from, well, it was just Cosmo being open and honest, and then me just being like, "I want it now. here's
You're
this,
just,
accept this
you're being
now.
a shark, man. You're just being a shark. I approve of it
So,
though.
yeah, sorry, Duncan, sniped you.
But
But both of us, as I mean, we're bottom brothers right now, but we're also bottom enemies. So, yeah.
just remember, Duncan. This is how he treats you. This is how he treats you.
So I'm expecting to hear this next week. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, lots of trades going over there. Completely new team. Who dis? But yeah, so we'll see. I tried to pick up guys that are past their bye weeks and stuff like that, so I can try to capitalize on that going forward. But um, yeah, we'll see. We'll have to see how it works. Really, just trying not to get last at this point. So uh, that has been your transaction
So
review.
wait, all the
Let it run.
What'd you say?
no, so all the trades were from you. No other trades were done.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I don't think there's any other trades this week. So
Oh man.
I think Akshay traded his dignity to. Oh no, I'm just kidding.
Damn.
Will you redeem yourself or be a complete failure again? It's time for the weekly matchup preview.
All right, we're going into week 7 here. About halfway through the fantasy season. Got some interesting matchups this week. We'll go ahead and start with this one since we've been feeling a lot of tension in the podcast today. We got. Oh, my bad. Let me go real quick. Forgot to go over the leaderboard. Current leaderboard standings here. Number 1 is our boy Cosmo, 5-1 on the season. Really good start here. 5-1, first place. Number 2, we got Cox out for Camara from Nahum, 4-2. Right behind him in number 3, Brandon, also 4-2. Then we got a bunch of 3-3s here. Number 4, Akshay, 3-3. Number 5, Cameron, 3-3. Number 6, Rahi, 3-3. Number 7, Aaron, 3-3. And Taylor, number 8, 3-3. So things could shake up very quickly here going down the stretch. And then number 9, Duncan, 1-5. And myself rounding out the list at number 10, 1-5. Also, very, very poor start for both of us. But all right, moving into week 7 here. First matchup, we have myself going back to the old days, Whip My Nips and the pitcher of Cosmo. 10th place, 1-5, going up against Derrick Henry Dream, Akshay, 3-3, 4th place. It's projected currently for a 107-102 win for Akshay here. On my side, as we talked about, we got Josh Allen going against Miami, Tyreek Hill against Denver tomorrow night, or I guess when you're listening to this, it would be tonight. Michael Gallup against Philadelphia, Zeke against Philadelphia, Melvin Gordon against Tennessee, Chris Herndon against New England. Not sure if he's going to play or not. His projection is low right now because of that, but might have to find a spot start at tight end there if he doesn't play. Devin Singletary against Miami, and then also got Robbie Anderson against New England that I'm kind of tossing around. Maybe he'll just happen to get, some crazy score against New England. Maybe this will be the first, good offensive test New England has. Who knows? We'll think about it. Over on Akshay's side, we got Dak Prescott against Philadelphia, Calvin Ridley against the Rams, T.Y. Hilton against Houston, Derrick Henry against the Chargers, Philip Lindsay against Kansas City, Austin Hooper against the Rams, DJ Chark against Cincinnati, and on his bench currently is Aaron Jones against Oakland. So we'll have to see if that shakes up during the week. Cosmo, predictions for this matchup?
I think it's going to be actually a pretty tight battle. I think it's going to reflect this on air heat going on this whole podcast. I think it's going to go back and forth, and it's going to come down maybe even to the Monday night matchups. I think it's going to be tough, but if I'm being objective here and I'm looking at the matchups, I think I gotta go the slight edge to Danny. I just think the matchups are a little more in his favor. I think both of the quarterbacks have good matchups, but like Michael Gallup versus Philadelphia it's probably going to be a beast, a smash spot, especially if Amari Cooper is not playing. Philadelphia has one of the worst secondaries in the league right now. They have a great run defense. They cannot stop the pass for their lives. Zeke, I think, is only going to get better as the season goes on. Melvin Gordon, I really do think is going to bounce back. I'm not sure if he's going to be the guy he was last year, but I do think he'll be a solid running back going forward. And I think some of the ancillary pieces you have really good matchups. Whereas on Akshay's team, I think he's got some good matchups as well this week. But Calvin Ridley, will he have to match up against Jalen Ramsey? That might be hard with the Rams, having to go against the newly acquired Jalen Ramsey. Can Hooper keep up? I don't know, but I think it'll be tough. It'll be a close matchup, but I'm going to give the slight edge to Danny.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm gonna take that L 1-6 life, boy. Akshay, you taking that W?
I don't know, man. I'll be honest. Like I said earlier during the trade, I'm kind of nervous because you have a couple players playing against the Miami Dolphins, and every time you play Miami Dolphins, you're guaranteed points, no matter who it is. You always guaranteed points, but I'm still like you said, Danny. I'm still messing with my bench. Aaron Jones might make an appearance. We don't know. Stay tuned. But I do think you might win this one though.
All right, well that's good to know. Next matchup here, we've got Cosmo 5-1 in first place, going against Cameron 3-3 fifth place. Finally getting a decent projection, 118 to 100 in favor of Cosmo here. Cosmo's got Kyler Murray against the Giants. Currently has Adams versus Oakland in there. Edelman versus the Jets. Dalvin Cook against Detroit. Kerryon Johnson against Minnesota. Evan Ingram against Arizona. Ooh, he would just be a monster if he plays. Todd Gurley against Atlanta. And then over on Cameron's side, we got Pat Mahomes against Denver, Hopkins against Indianapolis, Michael Thomas against Chicago, Austin Eckler against Tennessee, Matt Breida against Washington, Noah Fant against Kansas City, although he will probably switch Darren Waller into his starting lineup. Nah, never mind. I don't know what I just said. LaShawn McCoy against Denver. And luckily, wait. Oh, I won't mention that either. I'm just kidding. He's got Chicago playing this week again. Put him back in the lineup. Put Darren Waller in your lineup. Cameron, go for that W. But yeah, no. So Cosmo, I think your team's looking, really strong. I was actually really excited for Todd Gurley to play Atlanta. So hopefully he does really well for you. Dalvin Cook, I think, is just going to eat against Detroit. And then hopefully, I'm not really sure how things are trending for Devonta Adams right now, but if he can get in against Oakland, I think that'd be a really good matchup on his part. Cameron, I think Pat Mahomes is going to struggle again tomorrow against Denver. They're starting to figure out their defense. Offensive line is still not good, and Thursday night games just kind of never really turn out to be that great. So I think Cosmo's. I'm going to say Cosmo takes this one. Like we said, the running back situation is still just shaky for Cameron, and he's got some tough matchups on the wide receivers and the quarterback. So I think that kind of caps him a little bit this week, and I think Cosmo will take the win to start off 6-1, crazy hot. What about you, Akshay?
I don't know, man. I think this is when Cosmo starts taking his L's. I think this is going to be a second L of the season. I don't know. You just don't mess with the Mahomes, man. Mahomes going to drop like 40 or 50 points this week. Just watch it.
I hope they're all to Tyreek Hill. But Cosmo, how do you feel about this matchup?
I feel okay. I'm not gonna crap on my team. They've done me good so far, so I'm gonna be confident in them. I got contingencies in case any of my guys can't play. I got Malcolm Brown going for Gurley. Gurley can't play. Boyd for Adams. If Adams can't play, but I'm hoping they will be all systems to go. But I think it'll be, assuming Cameron makes those moves and puts Waller in Chicago defense. I actually think this will be close, and I think he might have a shot at beating me. But
Yeah.
hopefully you don't listen to. Hopefully you're distracted, Cameron, and just keep your lineup the same.
Keep going on your honeymoons. Keep being distracted by marriage. Don't worry about it. Work your way to last. We would appreciate that. Next here we have Cox out for Kamara. Nahum 4-2, second place, going against bow down to Saquon 3-3, eighth place. Taylor. This one is currently projected a blowout win of 125 to 112 for Taylor. Surprisingly, I never thought I'd say that. But on Nahum's side, Deshaun Watson against Indianapolis, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin, Chris Carson, Alvin Kamara against Chicago, Hunter Henry, Tevin Coleman. On Taylor's side here, we got Aaron Rodgers. He picked him up from the waiver wire. Stephon Diggs. Oh, dang. I think I would have won if I had stayed with Aaron Rodgers last week. Oh well. Stephon Diggs, Allen Robinson, Mark Ingram, David Johnson, George Kittle, and his boy Saquon Barkley back in the lineup against Arizona of all people. He is practicing in full. I definitely expect him to be back this week against the Swiss cheese defense, Arizona. Cosmo, you think Taylor's going to make a resounding statement win this week?
I actually think he will. I think a combination of things. Taylor's finally getting his team healthy. Saquon's his boy's coming back, and I don't think his boy's going to disappoint Taylor on his return. If he does, I would be very sad. But I mean, Taylor's got a good team. He's got a really good team now with all his players healthy, and I think to compound on that, I think Nahum has some tough situations this week. He's got Juju, who actually hasn't really been that good anyways, but he has Juju on the bye. Cooper's probably not going to play. Kamara, I don't think is going to play. He's kind of up in the air. So if Kamara doesn't play, that's a huge L for Nahum. Terry McLaurin is a tough matchup against San Francisco. So I think everything is looking down for Nahum this week, even though I think long term his team's fine. But I think this week actually Taylor's going to take the win here.
Yeah, I would agree. Akshay, what do you say?
Yeah, I don't trust Hunter Henry. Sure, he got amazing week 6, but I personally don't think he's going to do anywhere near that this week alone. And he needs his team to blow up if he wants to beat Taylor. And man, I created a monster. Look at this now, man. Gave him Johnson. Oof, that's gonna be terrifying as hell to watch. But Taylor, best of luck, man. I have money on you.
All right, next matchup here we have Aaron, 3-3, 7th place, going against Duncan, 1-5, 9th place. Actually projected 121 to 105 in favor of Duncan here. On Duncan's side, we got Lamar Jackson, Julio Jones, Will Fuller, Lev Bell, Marlon Mack, Travis Kelce, and Sony Michelle. Over on Aaron's side, we got Russell Wilson, Adam Thielen, Tyler Lockett, Devonta Freeman, Carlos Hyde in the lineup here, Gerald Everett, and the newly acquired Robert Woods. Nick Chubb is on bye this week, and David Montgomery is facing New Orleans, so no surprise he does not want to trust him there. I will actually say I think this is where Duncan gets a bounce back win here. Lamar Jackson, the Seattle defense really isn't the same. I think he will definitely score a lot of points on the Seattle defense. Julio Jones is probably going to get shadowed by Jalen Ramsey or get a lot of coverage from Jalen Ramsey. But he's been there a week, and we'll have to see what happens. But Julio Jones could always go off for a big game. Will Fuller against Indianapolis. Yeah, I'm not really sure what to think of Will Fuller yet. I guess maybe this is a game that he could go off, but we'll see. Lev Bell against New England is going to be very hard. Marlon Mack against Houston, though, I think he will eat a lot. Travis Kelce, we'll get to this later. I think he's going to have a great game against Denver. And Sony Michelle against the Jets. I think that Aaron just comes up on some tough matchups this week, and it's going to hit him a little hard. And Duncan gets his second win of the season. What do you say, Cosmo?
Yeah, I think I got to agree here. A combination of things. I've been preaching. I still think Duncan seems good. I think he's going to come back. He's got some tough matchups this week, but most of the time, I think sometimes matchups can be a little overrated in terms of stuff. When you have talented players, a lot of times they'll perform. So I think his team will do good. I think this is just a rough week for Aaron. His boy Nick Chubb is just not going to be playing. Gerald Everett. I'm not sure if he's the answer at tight end, and I don't know if Carlos Hyde can repeat the magic from last week. So I think because I think Aaron's team is trending up. He's been doing really good, but losing Nick Chubb for a week hurts. So I'm going to give this one to Duncan this week.
Akshay, how do you
Yeah,
say?
I think it's a wash. I'm also giving it to Duncan, man. Welcome to 2-5. I do suggest personally to bench Le'Veon Bell this week, and you should put in James Wright. But that's just my tip again. My
Ooh,
third tip of the
bold
day.
take.
Oh, Oh, Duncan, are you
I'm
gonna
saying
follow that?
James White is going against, the Giants, and the Giants defense is not looking nice. Meanwhile, the Patriots defense is always
Yeah. I hate to
been
break the
weak.
news
So
to you, Akshay, but James White is actually facing the Jets.
damn, that's what happened. You had 3 beers and you talking.
Didn't you just drive?
Yeah,
from-
yeah. Didn't you?
Did you just drive home?
Oh
Oh,
yeah, I've been drinking
man,
beers
you're
while
getting
in the
exposed for a
podcast.
lot of things this podcast.
Uh,
No, I'm just kidding.
I still think you should put James White over Le'Veon Bell. I think Le'Veon is going to get stuffed, but that's just me.
Well, that is 3 picks to win for Duncan, which means he's probably going to lose. All right, moving on to our last one here. Looks like the
Okay,
bump.
I'll switch it. I'll give some positive juju. Aaron. I pick Aaron. I pick Aaron. Simple.
Okay, good. All
You
right,
know what?
moving
I
on to
want
our
Duncan to lose. I think Duncan is going to be the king sausage of the week.
moving on to our bum matchup of the week here. We've got Rahi versus Brandon, projected 94 to 94. They do have a couple empties or bye weeks in their lineup, so I don't think it'll be that low, and I don't think it'll actually be a bum matchup here. But Brandon caught Rahi on the week that he does not have Christian McCaffrey, and we have seen that he does not have many backup running back options here. So on Rahi's side, we've got Carson Wentz, Brandon Cooks, Kenny Galladay, no Christian McCaffrey, so he's going to have to fill the hole with either Jordan Howard or Royce Freeman, Joe Mixon, Zach Ertz, Cooper Cup. Brandon's side here, we got Matt Ryan, Alshon Jeffrey, Marquez Valdez Scantling, Leonard Fournette, Josh Jacobs, Mark Andrews, newly acquired, and then he needs to fill in his flex spot. But unfortunately, James Conner, Odell, Deontay Johnson are on bye, so he's probably going to have to use Alan Lazard and hope for another good game there. Or Mark, well, you probably don't want to play Mark Walton against Buffalo, but yeah, we'll have to see what Brandon does there. He might just take the flat out 0. Who knows? Cosmo, who do you think wins this bye week riddled matchup here?
I feel like I've been noticing a little that Rahi's team has kind of gone up and down with when Christian McCaffrey's been up and down, which has mostly been up, which is why Rahi's been doing so good. But I think losing McCaffrey here and not having the best depth at running back is going to hurt Rahi, and I think Brandon's going to pull out this win here.
Akshay?
Uh, I do want Rocky to win because he's my cuddy brother, but at the same time, seeing him lose is also giving me joy. Brandon, do your ultimate flex on Rahi and don't even fill up your flex position.
Yeah, if you win without a flex, that's a flex, man. I'm gonna say Rahi pulls off a miracle here without Christian McCaffrey and actually takes Brandon by surprise. And I think Brandon earns the stanky sausage this week. I think we put a curse on him. He's the only one that hasn't gotten one.
I forgot about
And so I think Rahi wins this week in a low scoring matchup, but Rahi takes the win here. And Brandon gets that stanky, nasty sausage to finally get everyone to have their own stanky sausage. So that has been your matchup preview for week 7, and we'll have to see how it turns out next week. And breaking news, if I had kept Aaron Rodgers in my lineup, I would have won last week. So unfortunate, but let's just move on here to a little bit, more hyped, upbeat segment.
Bold predictions.
All right, last week on our bold predictions here, Cosmo said that New England D against the Giants without Saquon, without Ingram, without Gallman, and without Shepard scored less than 5 points, and he was very wrong. He scored 27 points, and that is exactly what Cosmo.
I'm so sad.
That's
Sad. My bold prediction was wrong.
That's exactly what Cosmo wanted to happen. So he feels good about that. On my side, I said Derrick Henry will slash through the Broncos defense like a stampede and for 30 plus points, and he got 3.8. So that was definitely wrong here, and you're welcome, Akshay. So
And I will let you know this is where all my hostility has been going to all week, all day, all night. It's because of this.
Yeah, your boy let you down.
No.
Yeah, you gonna
Danny.
drop it?
Danny, the
You
big
are.
guy.
I mean, as we've seen the last couple of weeks, you've gotten intimate with Derrick Henry. So
Oh,
More,
that is
this
more,
very
guy's
more,
good.
true.
more than just intimate. We're about to get married. I was hoping to tell you guys this earlier, but
Hey, I don't know. Earlier you said you don't like gay people, so
hey. He doesn't have a dick. It's not gay.
whoa.
Okay,
Okay, all right,
let's
move
move
on.
Bold predictions.
All right, bold predictions for week 7. Let's just go ahead and get the loser out of the way. Akshay, go ahead with your bold prediction here.
My bold prediction is Danny will get a win and he'll be king sausage of this week. Yes, I'm putting myself down for that.
Okay, yeah. Uh, good luck with that one. Cosmo, what is your bold prediction for this week?
All right, I had one, but I decided to change it last minute because I feel like I should honor our guests on the podcast
Oh
here.
boy.
And
No,
so
don't do
this
it.
week, so far this season, the guy that we ridiculed Akshay for trading David Johnson for, Austin Hooper, has actually been really, really good. Has been one of the best tight ends of the season so far. But
Don't
I
take
think this is the week. It all comes crashing down. Austin Hooper is scoring less than 2 points this week. That is my bold prediction.
Bold predictions.
That's me, Akshay. Best thing I could have done. He's about to score 30 points. When I said that,
Yeah, he's
so.
about to score like 30. All right, that's right. Okay, Travis Kelce, my man. Okay, he's been disappointing for Duncan. Duncan's like, hey, I traded for the best tight end in the league. I'm so sanitized. Wrong. He's been sucking for Duncan here, not scoring above 10 points in like the last 3 weeks or whatever it is. I don't even care. He's been sucking. He hasn't been relevant, okay? Hasn't been relevant. But you know what? There's a reason they call him Zeus. There is a reason they call him Zeus. And you know what? The Denver defense, it doesn't matter if you change coordinators. It doesn't matter if you change head coaches. It doesn't matter. For the last like 4 to 5 years, they have been the almost one of the worst in the league at guarding the tight end position. As we saw last week against Hunter Henry here. So I think this, Thursday night, tomorrow night for us, tonight for you listeners, that's right, Travis Zeus Kelce is going to reach his mighty hand, his thick arm. He's going to reach it up into the sky. He's going to point to the sky. And that's right, Zeus is going to call down a massive lightning strike onto the Broncos defense, just destroying them for 25 points. That's right. Travis Zeus Kelce, 25 plus points this week for Cosmo. Oh, fudge. For Duncan. I'm so hyped right now. Whoa! There's going to be a trade, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. Travis Zeus Kelce, 25 plus points. Duncan, you're welcome.
So, Duncan, do you want to change your
Bold predictions.
Sorry, were you saying something, Akshay?
Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry. Were you saying something, Akshay?
Go suck my dick.
Okay, that has been your bold predictions for week 7. Thank you for tuning in. As always, people, peace and love. Cosmo, any final words?
I'll just let my standing, my record speak for itself.
All right. Akshay, anything you got to say?
Yeah. This is my podcast now. I'm still trying to figure out what the hell you're still doing here. I thought I told you you're fired.
Oh, yeah. About that. You got to be taller than 5 feet to run a podcast.
And you have to have more than 3 wins to have a podcast. So it looks like both of us are out.
Oh, dang. Where?
I think there's a
Oh,
new rivalry forming
let
right
me.
now. Forget Akshay and Aaron.
What is this
they're-
thing
they're-
right next?
From,
Is this a
from the
championship trophy? Is this a
Yeah,
Oh,
the championship.
it is a
trophy you're gonna
championship
be,
trophy.
sending to me in the next
It is
couple
a
of weeks.
championship
Months.
trophy.
Yeah.
Oh man. Um, who choked as the number 1 seed in the playoffs to no offense, Cosmo, one of the most garbage fantasy teams in the playoffs in our Sausage Bowl League history?
Hey, the past is the past. I'm looking at the future. I'm looking at the present. and it looks like your team is not going to make it anywhere near the playoffs.
All right, we'll see after next week.
Yeah,
We'll see who's laughing after next week.
Ultimately, like, there's such thing as gay, there's such thing, as the LGBTQ community, but I never heard of someone making out with a trophy. That's just weird. I'm sorry.
Hey, you know what? I got one in my back pocket, but I'm not saying it because I know it's a little too personal. So I'm not. Oh no, don't worry about it. No, don't worry about it. No, we're good. No, it's okay. I got I've got common sense. I'm not gonna say it, but okay. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. That's been the show. It's time to close it out. Sexy voice man, hit us with the outro.
Thank you guys.
This is the Sausage Bowl Podcast signing out. As always, thanks for listening and see you next week.